Welcome back to Local Decision 2020. I'm Rusty Ray, and we're joined now for a candidate for Anoka County Board of Commissioners out of District 2. That's Noel Lutsey. Noel, thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Why this race? Why run now for this office?
Well, I'm pretty active in the community, and being active has shown me just all the different facets that are available. And I saw a few things in our county that I just didn't feel were right or correct, and I wanted to move towards changing them. I figured if I'm going to complain about it, I might as well do something, and so I'm doing something.
Tell me just some of the ways you are involved in the community, and your job is in the education field and workforce training and things like that?
Yeah, so I work for the colleges that are here at Anoka Technical College and Anoka Ramsey Community College. So my business career is helping people get training for the non-credit side. So anything from a 4-hour forklift class to a 911 operator of all things. So all kinds of different areas, and then connecting jobs and people. And then being active, I'm in the Blaine-Ham Lake Rotary Club, so I'm always out volunteering. We work in the high schools with Strive. We hand out dictionaries to all the third graders in Anoka County, which they're still fun at that age. Building a new church over in Blaine. Volunteer with the Cub Scout, roadside cleanup, Coon Creek watershed, so just all over the place. And then at some of the local charities that are here, such as Stepping Stone, Hope for Youth, places like that.
Let's talk about District 2 for just a moment. It's rather unique among the districts in that it's got, like District 6, it's got kind of the southern end is a little more densely populated, certainly than the northern edge of that district, representing quite a few different communities right here in the heart of Anoka County, right? Part of Blaine, and then Ham Lake primarily. And what is it about District 2 that you feel like is unique? Do you feel like it really represents Anoka County as a whole in terms of that demographic change?
Yeah, I feel like it's the whole spectrum. You know, the north part of Blaine up to the city of Bethel. So whatever type of area you want to see, Blaine obviously has more of the services and density. And then you get up to Ham Lake and it starts to thin out and everyone's on 1 acre, and then you start moving up to East Bethel, and now we're from 1 acre to 10 or 20, and then Bethel itself. So we have all kinds of different opportunities and people, and then I also have part of Andover. So there's 5 cities in this area, and if you look at Andover, they're growing pretty fast too.
Right.
Not quite as fast as Blaine, but totally different than what's going on in Ham Lake.
Are you able, or have you been able to get out to these different communities, given the constraints of everything that's happened with COVID and things like that? Have you been able to get out and talk to people as much face-to-face as possible?
Not in the beginning. I just started scheduling pop-ups in different communities. So I'm just going to an area, being respectful, parking my car, wearing a mask, and meeting people. And then as I think things started to loosen up, I've been to all 5 cities. I bop around from Bethel to East Bethel, a day in Blaine, a day in Andover, a day in Ham Lake. And so Bethel itself was pretty easy, only a couple hundred, but I've covered a lot of the different cities, and I really enjoy door knocking. I haven't done that before, and it's fantastic to talk to people and get their opinions.
It's my understanding from talking to some other candidates that people have a lot to say, and people are looking for a conversation because maybe they haven't been out of their house very much over the past 6-7 months. What are you hearing from people? What are they telling you about what Anoka County and specifically the Board of Commissioners is doing?
Well, surprisingly, they don't understand a lot of what the commissioners do, and so they're wondering what's going on, what the direction is. It can be as simple as up in Ham Lake and East Bethel, why don't we have a grocery store? Or it can be the roads. As I get up in East Bethel, people talk about what happened on Viking Boulevard. In Andover, it's help when COVID has come up and what resources are there. And so I think there's kind of a disconnect, and I hope to change that.
Do you feel like that part of that is a transparency or a communication issue on the county board level, or an opportunity? Some candidates continue to talk about the lack of public input at board meetings, and the board even took action on that early in 2020 before COVID of whether or not to allow a public input at every monthly meeting or the twice monthly meetings. Is that kind of what fuels this lack, as you said, of understanding of what the county board actually does?
Yeah, and so it is. It starts with the lack of communication, the fact that our county taxes are high, we're fourth out of the state, and then people don't get to ask questions or to give comment. I've been to all the city councils, and people like that they can go and talk or ask questions at their city council meetings, and they don't understand why it doesn't happen. But I also think there's a disconnect where they're amazed that I show up. They've never met a county commissioner. But even some of the leadership, when I was up at Bethel, they said that's the first time they've seen someone at one of their city council meetings. And I just think, well, you're one of my cities. Why wouldn't I be here? So I think it's just not seeing what that, what the county person does and having the discussion. So now at least some of them have thanked me for showing up, and a lot of them have said, I'm voting for you just because you showed up. And I think, well, I should have to work a little bit harder, but I'm grateful for that.
You've touched on it a little bit, but are there issues or things that the county board may have been able to focus on this year, if not for having to deal with COVID and all of the decisions, immediate decisions that had to be made, certainly money to distribute and changes in county services or closing things like Bunker Beach or whatever the case may be? Do you feel like there are issues that the county has had to postpone because of COVID?
Well, they postponed some things because of COVID, and I look at the reduction in library hours and things like that, and I consider libraries such a crucial resource for us. I provide training through the college, and one person needs training or an online resource isn't right for them, I send them to the libraries because they're such a great resource. But I think we've also neglected, I would say, some of the roads as we get further north of us. Blaine does pretty good, but as you get further north, it's not as good. Up in Ham Lake, East Bethel, it's brutal. And that Viking Boulevard, there was an opportunity for us to have done so much more, and it's a shame what's happened.
Well, the state made a change, and then there was a pretty bad accident, among others, and then the state came back and said, well, let's change it again. And so that's what, but people are still upset about are people more upset about the way it is now or the way that it got to this point?
People are upset about the way that it got to this point. And I think, I look at Maine and 65 as an example of something that was done right, where the city and the county and the state all worked together. And I don't think there was the involvement of the city and the county with the state. So the state kind of went on their own, and the residents of East Bethel very unhappy about that. Not only do I do training for the college, but I also teach motorcycle as well. So when I see that tragedy, I think, boy, could that have been avoidable if we'd have gone with a partnership. My own background in Ham Lake is I was on the fire department for a number of years. And we met with the city council to talk about some of the dangerous intersections that we had there. And we eliminated some of those pinch points where people could cross the road because people think they can beat traffic and they can't. People are flying. So I think now we're going to have to do something. And in my opinion, we're throwing good money after bad instead of having those partnerships. And that's really where it comes down, is being active and present in developing those partnerships. And we can all do this if we work together in our present.
Kind of working together to kind of hear what the folks in the county at this level have to say, or at the city level, and then being that mouthpiece up to the state leadership and the agencies that handle this. I mean, 65 is a state road. MnDOT's going to have to be the one that make the major changes and the major investment, but you're saying the county can kind of be an advocate for the residents.
Absolutely. All the partnership is going to have to come with the county as well. And I compare that with some of the work that I do at the college. I work with greater MSP in attracting businesses to this state. And the role of the schools is they want a good workforce, but they also want to know that we have the resources and the training capabilities to educate that workforce. So even though I'm one part of several colleges, we all provide that partnership, and I think we can do that in a much bigger level here with the state on roads, for sure.
Speak more about that economic development piece. There's a lot of efforts at Anoka County and the regional economic development, and even getting cities as part of that and having a voice in that, and then trying to foster development. Again, given the economic situation that we're now in because of COVID, that may prove more difficult. But the county is trying to make things happen, especially along its tech corridor proposed over along the Washington County line. But even driving up 65, maybe you think, well, there's a lot of land out here that maybe could be redeveloped. What more can the county board and the county do to try to provide opportunities for more of those businesses to come here, which then could bring other things with them?
Sure, and I work with many of those county resources now in my role, so I've gone to some of the manufacturing consortiums because we do so much manufacturing. It's amazing how many manufacturers are here. So I think it's continuing those partnerships and then starting to move forward. I think the majority of the meetings that I've attended have been in Anoka, in Blaine, in Ramsey. I think we could go further up. I see no reason why we can't get a little bit further up into East Bethel. Ham Lake's got some wonderful businesses as well. And then seeing what's available in Andover as well. The opportunity's there, but no business or families will move here if we don't have the roads to get them in there and the right way for it to flow. Because if a business comes up here and they're stuck an hour in traffic, they're not going to think we're pretty attractive to them.
Is there any room, though, for the folks who may live in East Bethel or even points north of there or west or east of there, I should say, that they like the country, they like the quiet, they don't want to see a bunch of development and another McDonald's on the road or something like that? I mean, is there a balance of that? And I'm not trying to generalize anybody. I'm just asking. I mean, that's part of the reason that people may be established there. I got a friend who's buying a place in Columbus because it's 5 acres and he can expand. So is there a sense of that too, and preserving some of that, but at the same time trying to get the best opportunities?
It's almost like you've door knocked with me, because I have talked to people in East Bethel and they go, hey, I moved up here because I don't want to be in Blaine. So you're right, we don't want to force anything down anyone's throat. But I also hear that we pay almost as much in taxes as Blaine, yet we don't have the services. And we just got a Dollar General into Ham Lake, and I use it, but I hear time and time again we're a food desert. We should have a grocery store. And I think, myself, if I'm making tacos for the grandkids and I don't have lettuce, it's a 30-minute trip to Isani or Blaine for me to just get that one item. And so I think the support is there. And I've had residents say, well, maybe it should be a co-op, maybe it should be a farmer's market. And we do a decent farmer's market over at Mickman's off 65. But the support is there. People ask for it. They want it. So I think that it's there. But again, I don't want to force anything down anyone's throat. They just want a few more services for the money they're already paying.
All right, Noel Lutsey, that's the time we have today. I appreciate you coming by.
Thank you very much.